Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Love Life, where we hope you be making choices and decisions that love you back and you're encouraged to love life. I am Michael. I'm a person in long-term recovery, co-occurring mental health and substance use disorder. I have some superpowers called attention deficit disorder, PTSD, for post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'm healing on purpose from physical abuse and sexual abuse from childhood, teenage, and even during my adult years, during when I was actively in my substance use disorder, actively in my drug of choice and my addiction. And so I'm grateful today to be here to share that with you confidently and unashamed, as I have the privilege to still be on a lifelong journey of healing. I hope today has been positive and productive for you, and just taking this moment in to enjoy yourself and appreciate yourself this time. So we're just talking about reasons why we would use again and continue to use. And so this is part five of it. And so here's a scenario we talk about is when I mention the word post traumatic trauma and abuse, maybe a past or even current trauma experience. It can be from abuse. It can be an accident, something that happened. People with traumatic car accidents. It could be got you know, I do not wish this on anybody, but I know when I was a freshman in college, I was mugged or jumped, whatever they call it, but I was mugged, robbed. So that was traumatic for me, caused some terrorists. Any type of family emergency, maybe that's not directly connected to you, but is something you indirectly experience that causes trauma to your emotions, into my psyche. And there can be many other events that can just impact me. What psychologically, seeing something, whether it's seeing people in and out of jail and prison in your family, that can be traumatic, and people don't realize it. Witness somebody going through depression, growing up as an adult, or whatever, seeing that could be traumatic because you have no control. So it's a plethora. It's the et cetera list of what, because everyone's personality is different. So what is traumatic for you may not be considered traumatic. Just depends on what happens. And so even traumas. So the thing is, trauma goes from a childhood to teenage, adolescent, or AKA teenagerdom, right? No, teenage years or adolescent years is what they call it, the proper word. And then guess what? These things can resurface if we do not or have not, if I have not processed them in a healthy way. They can resurface, or sometimes something can activate that feeling and thought. And so that's why it's so important for me to find a mental health as well. So when these traumatic thoughts are activated, or events are activated in my psyche, in my mind, in my emotions, that I have a positive response, or a healthy response, where I don't cause damage to my life and to myself physically, or even harm myself. And so when the trauma arises, it is suggested that we seek professional help. That's just the reality of it. When something like that arises, to walk me through and provide me with, to present me and provide me with tools that I need to choose from to pick to see how to walk through these feelings and these emotions. But there's sometimes where we're going to lean towards what a mind altering substance or a mind altering activity that is not healthy for our emotions. That's not healthy. Um, it's not a healthy response for our traumatic experience, or re-traumatized experience, or activated experience. Um, so we can forget these memories. And oftentimes, I know in the past, I choose things that cause more damage. It numb me for a moment, but it caused more damage to me later. So, um, so if I'm in a very, what we call, abusive and toxic environment, if I live in a toxic environment, I live with people in a toxic environment, that can activate that past trauma. There's someone that is using mind altering substances and I'm not, and I'm around it often, that can activate uh, past traumatic experiences. Um, Often we don't realize that some form of abuse is faced on a regular or even daily basis. And so It can be emotional abuse, mental abuse, and unfortunately, as I mentioned, I'm healing on purpose from physical and sexual abuse. So, and so if we do not, if I'm not strong enough, or I'm not encouraged, or I'm not open to professional help, then I can turn to my altered substance, my drug of choice that's not healthy for me, or my alternate activities that are not healthy for my life long term. Also, some of the reason is just the enjoyment of getting a rush. Is why I go back to using. I can't duplicate that in other things that I've been trying to get what they call as a natural high or a rush or healthy rush. I will coin it or rephrase that. Many people sometimes we find ourselves maybe in the past the way I got on this path was experimenting because I never did it before, not realizing that one kind of I have runs in my that genetics in your family, but at first it's not a problem until it becomes a problem. So that's when you first try it. There's a controlled atmosphere until we continue to go into the rabbit hole when we get lost in the matrix of substance use disorder. So the chemical reactions between the drug and the brain differs for everybody, but it what always releases a dopamine, which is that pleasurable feeling. Some of them may get it from just eating some chocolate, and then we eat too much or candy. The sugar craving kind of doesn't cure it, but kind of helps us ride the wave when we're getting craving. Just think of things like that. We may lean into uh, dependent behaviors and addictive behaviors and using mind altering substances and using mind altering activities because it is a false boost in our confidence or in a false sense of control or just any other things that we feel it helps us do. One of my drug of choice is alcohol, and that we call the liquid courage. Go on top of the world. I could talk to anybody, do anything. I felt invincible, but had a lot of felt a lot of pain the next day after that. And then last but not least, thing we might pick up and want to use my altered substances, my altered activities that are not positive and not healthy for us mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually is because we're bored. They say idle mind is is they said devil's playground, but I don't believe in that thing. So I'll say I don't mind can make you do some things that are not good for you. That will be my 2025 version of that saying. An idle mind could lead me to do some things that are not good for me, that I shouldn't do, that doesn't fit my goals and my objectives, if that makes sense. And so it can people say only teens and young adults. I'm no longer a young adult. I'm a tweener and almost a senior, and I'm proud of that. Once And they say, I think is if you're my friend, if you're a person that's in recovery or you are working on your steps, I think boredom happens with us, my friends, easily. It's just the gift of what we have and what we're working with within ourselves, and so therefore we can be because the excitement is no longer there. The rush, that excitement that we used to get when we were in that active lifestyle of mind altering substances and mind altering activities. And so we may return to using because we feel like the excitement is no longer there in my life. And you get a dopamine rush, right? You get a high. So it's very important to continue to challenge ourselves with things that are healthy and positive that may provide a dopamine, a chemical rush that is not harmful to our bodies, harmful to our minds, harmful to our finances. I forgot to mention that as well. We may have to spend a little money if it's a hobby, maybe expensive hobbies, but at least it's a hobby um, that will encourage us to have a positive outlet. Um, it is sometimes boredom if we don't have a career, we're in between careers, and we have to reestablish ourselves in a career. We lost the business and trying to gain a business again. So it could be many different reasons why we get bored, or we don't have much bills, or maybe we went back to school and so it changed it, or maybe we're bored with our family. So anything that's going on in all that, using my other substances can be using my alternate activities can be an easy way of entertaining us to pass the time. Um, And that may lead back to a full blown lifestyle of being codependent on my alternate substances and my alternate activities, which we call addiction. Let's call it what it is, addiction, which leads my life to be unmanageable, and then I got to start back from scratch. And where I'm at in life, that is not my goal. Is to start back from scratch. Is to just take care of this day, this moment in recovery, and continue to be free from the phenomenon of craving for any of my alternate substance or my alternate activity that is not positive or healthy for me mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, you name it. Ding, 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 ding. So my friends, when you're bored, I hope you have a list of positive things you always want to try. Some of it may require money, some not. Just have things that are budget friendly, but are your interest, and have a list of friends that don't use mind altering substances and mind altering activities that are detrimental, that are harmful to themselves and others. And so have the list of healthy friends that will encourage you to go to these other activities as well. That will be my word of encouragement to us. So at this time, this was part 5 of reasons why we start using it and trying to continue to use, but also want to encourage us to remember how far we came or how much you've been fighting. You may fall down, but I encourage you, and I know that you have the desire to get up. So, till next time, my friends, I hope you make choices and decisions that love you back, and you're encouraged to love life.